three major organizations that are joining us, as well as community members that are going to share their experiences working with several others. So the three major organizations that have generously donated their time to come join us today are the Challenged Athlete Foundation, Operation Rebound, the Adaptive Training Foundation down in Dallas, Texas, and we also have a representative from AMP Surf. So since Justin Laporte is here from AMP Surf, I would love for you to share a little bit about how you got involved in AMP Surf and what AMP Surf does for the veteran community.
Hi, everybody. This is Justin. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's start with how I got introduced to AMP Surf. I apologize, I don't have some video right now. This is kind of a last-minute thing, and it seems like the link was struggling. But relative to how I got involved, I mean, I've been surfing for over 20, 25 years plus, and happened to be at a local break in Rhode Island with a retired Marine. And, we were just talking, randomly, and he suggested that, just based on our discussion, that I would be just a really good fit for one of the vet surf clinics. This was about 6 years ago. And, in his words, he was just like, just show up, your standard Marine indoctrination, be there. And I did. So, and the rest is history. And, I was amazed at just how something that I absolutely loved and was this integral part of my life could also be capable of bringing, healing to people who were suffering from all sorts of different things. And anybody who is involved with adaptive, athletics, or just, in a position of offering assistance to persons living with disabilities knows that it's generally, rule of thumb is this completely fulfilling, endeavor. A lot of times people who come to these events are otherwise would never be able to engage in these activities. It takes a team, takes a lot of effort, takes team, it takes willingness to, to do all these things. It takes time, effort, and over the years, if you've ever been to any type of AMP Surf clinic, you can just see that it's just smiles. It's ear to ear. I mean, these people, we bring them into the water, and we enrich their lives with what we, one of our mantras is like, harnessing the healing power of the ocean. And the interesting part of it is that, when I first started surfing, I never really adopted or latched on to the spiritual side of it, or what it is that the ocean actually offered to me or my spirit, in addition to just the excitement of being able to surf. And that translates in various different ways throughout my participation with AMP Surf and the veterans community. There's your standard, some people just, they may not like the water, and they have a fun time and they're one and done. And then there's others who just continue to come back, and they're hooked on surfing in general because of just how it makes them feel, and that represents that middle ground all the way to the top level, where I was actually at a veterans annual summer sports clinic with, participants from around the country, one of which I had worked with on another coast at another event, came up to me and proceeded to tell me that I saved their life. That prior to, attending a clinic, this person was struggling with a lot of, post-traumatic stress, from multiple deployments, and was considering, ending his life. And he had told me in a very emotional statement, he thanked me for it. And he's like, you literally saved my life. And, it's things like that where you absolutely realize the magnitude and the significance of what it is you're doing for, you know, the community of people. And, you know, personally, you know, I was driven to the water for my own selfish needs, and it ultimately healed me in many regards. And through the additional component of participating in adaptive sports through AMP Surf and other organizations, it created an additional identity for me where I actually kind of mold my life around it now. So my summers, my falls, my hurricane season, chasing waves is literally, I always take into consideration like my next adaptive surf clinic. It's a lifelong endeavor. You know, surfing is not something that you do just for the most part. People who surf, it's a lifestyle. It really is about this collective, complete feeling of happiness and what it is that the water offers to the human spirit. And yeah, so I mean, all in all, I think that kind of sums it up a little bit. There's a lot more to it. There's camaraderie. You know, there's networks of people that obviously I've met. You know, Melissa here at multiple events, and I'm actively participating now in additional, you know, aspects of this community as a result. And I'm, you know, super eager and excited to be a part of it all. And, you know, I realize what it is that, you know, you can give back to this community.
Well, we thank you for all that you've done for AMP Surf. For those that are not local to New England, do you mind just sharing all of the different chapters and the locations of AMP Surf, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. So AMP Surf originally started in 2003 and headquartered in Pismo Beach, California, and that is the main hub. Most operations occur out that way through Dana Cummings and the rest of the board of directors, advisory board, and volunteers. Over the course of the past couple of years, we have opened up a couple additional locations. So now we have the West Coast operations, or commonly referred to as the southwestern hub, which is Pismo Beach. And now we have an additional branch up in Oregon. And I apologize for not knowing the exact town. It's only in its first year and a half, so I haven't committed it to memory. So on the West Coast, we've got the Pacific Northwest, which is in Oregon. We have Pismo Beach, which is in California. We have the New England chapter, which is essentially from Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. And then we have the New York chapter, which is headquartered out of Rockaway Beach. In addition to that, we are in discussions with some personnel down in Southern Florida. I think probably in the Juno Beach, maybe, you know, Palm Beach area, about potentially opening something down there as well. So officially documented locations for Pacific Northwest, California, New England, and New York, with the potential to open up some more in Florida. And that's what we have for locations now.
Awesome. So if you're near any of those major hubs, please go check out AMP Surf. We'll probably leave it open for questions towards the end, but I want to thank you, Justin, for sharing a little bit about AMP Surf. So I heard that Nico was able to dial in. Are you able to join us, Nico? You're on mute. Nico Marcolongo.
How's that?
There we go. So it is an honor to intro Nico Marcolongo. He is the director of the Challenge Athlete Foundation Warriors program. So if you can tell us a little bit more about all of the different programs that challenge athletes and the different types of grants, funding, resources, and opportunities that Challenge Athlete Foundation specifically offers for the veteran and first responder community.
Absolutely. So I'm Nico. I run the Operation Rebound program at Challenge Athletes Foundation for injured veterans and first responders. Through Operation Rebound, we offer grants year-round. So you can apply anytime during the year for sports equipment, competition, training, for any sports you want to do, from riding bikes to your kids to winning gold at the Paralympics and everything in between. And the nice thing about Operation Rebound as well is you apply once, and after that, it's a phone call or an email to me. You don't have to apply every time you need something. We also have our Idaho initiative. That's a year-round grant, and of course the OSER grant if you need a foot or a running foot or knee. That's year-round. Our annual grant program is currently open right now for civilians. That opened on September 1st. It closes in November, and you find out about your grant in March. Our ultimate goal is to make all of our grant programs year-round, however. So our ethos at Challenge Athletes Foundation is to empower the individual to participate in sports at the time and place of their own choosing. And why that's important is because oftentimes I've found, particularly with vets, first responders, they're out there on the front lines, and all of a sudden in a millisecond they lose their limbs, they're blinded, they're paralyzed, they're thinking what's next. And we let them know they're going to do all things they used to do and things they never dreamed of doing. And we want them to have a sense of independence in their lives. So rather than tell them they have to come to a particular event or do a particular sport, we ask them what do they want to do, and we help them achieve those goals. The biggest obstacle that we have found, and as well as others, this has been researched, for people with disabilities to get involved with sports is access to sports. It's lack of equipment, it's lack of transportation, it's lack of funding, because these things can be quite expensive. A hand cycle could be $3,500 to $6,000. A running foot, if we didn't have a great partner in OSER, that could cost $25,000 for everything between the foot and the prosthetic care. So we empower those individuals to do what they want, time and place of their own choosing, and we're finding some incredible results from it. We're finding people, they're able to get back to where they want to be weight-wise, their endurance improves, and they also reach goals, some of whom have gone to the Paralympics. And I know you had AmSurf on just before us. What a great organization. Been working with Dana for a long time. We work a lot with other organizations to get athletes to events, say that AmSurf holds or other organizations hold. So we tell people that, or I tell people, we sport the way we fight, like we did in the military, as coalitions. That's the only way we can get things done. So by working together, we can accomplish our mission.
Amazing. And if you want to hear more about Nico's story, he was able to take time out of his busy week and did an Instagram live with me on Wednesday, and it's on the Liner Wands main feed. So go check it out. He went into much further detail about all of the different programs that the Challenge Athlete Operation Rebound offers to veterans. So Nico, if you can share with us quickly kind of one of those monumental stories. I know that we were going to have a few panel members. If a panel member's here to share their story, we would love to hear it. And if not, if you're willing to share it on their behalf.
Sure. Well, we have so many stories. We have a panel member. I believe he is in the waiting room right now, Bill Henry. You see him?
Yes.
There? Hey, Bill. How are you?
Hey, Nico. What's up? I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Why don't you talk about what you do? I was talking to the group on Instagram Live the other day about it's not just about the sports that you're necessarily going to see on TV, the Paralympic type sports, triathlon, but we also support a lot of I call them niche sports, like Zumba dancing and skydiving and kite surfing. And I know your sport isn't necessarily niche, but it isn't necessarily something that people think about automatically when they think adaptive athletes, and that's BMX. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I got hooked up with Nico and Operation Rebound, I think probably about 3, maybe 4 years ago. And yeah, I'm about to turn 50. I lost my leg in 2000 in a motorcycle accident. I am a first responder. I've been a firefighter in the state of Florida for almost 30 years. And I started back racing BMX about 12 years ago when I got my now 17-year-old son into it. And it's one of those things that I saw the opportunity to get out, exercise, have a great time with my kids. And then it just started raising a lot of interest in people. How do you do this? How is this even possible? And the one thing that I've always told people is no matter you see a disability, for me, I see something to overcome and to prevail. And that's what Op Rebound has been able to do for me. Bicycle motocross is a combination of a quick reaction sprint, endurance. You're going over jumps, we're jumping, we're manualing. It's all about bicycle control. So it's basically motocross racing, but it's done on a bicycle. And and it requires, like anything with racing, the faster you want to go and the better you want to be, it requires equipment. And getting to races around the country, we race nationally. I've been able to achieve some pretty fantastic goals through Op Rebound and Nico, and just getting me to these races and buying equipment for me that I needed to be able to get to the next level of racing. And it's amazing. It really is. One of the best things to it is when people see me with my calf jersey on, it's not mainstream. I'm not one of those mainstream sponsored riders. So the first thing they do is they ask me about calf. So I start telling them about calf and Op Rebound. And then the next thing you know, you see this little kid come up to me who's wearing a prosthesis, and he's just looking at me like, how do you do this? And so we talk, and I get his parents to the side and we talk about it. Next thing you know, we've got them showing up to a track. We're teaching them how to ride the bike and what kind of equipment they need to be able to ride and their foot not come off the pedal, if you will. And then it spreads from there. And it's really about the community. It's really about being able to be out there and show other people with, people call it disabilities, and I guess that's what it is. But for the most part, it's just a different way of doing life, and it gets these kids involved, and it lets them know you're no different than anyone else. You just have to adapt a little bit, and that's why we're all called adaptive athletes.
And that's it, Bill. I mean, you nailed it right there. It's not only about supporting you, but it becomes you supporting others in the community. And that's really what we want to do. And that's why we have such a wide breadth of sports. One of the reasons why we have such a wide breadth of sports that we support, because we want to reach others out there who need support. And Bill is an ambassador for our program. I tell all the vets and first responders, this Operation Rebound belongs to them. I'm just here to facilitate it. And I'm going to do what I can do to empower them so that they can reach their goals. And also the idea is for them to empower others.
Absolutely amazing. Bill, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I would never think of applying for a CAF grant for BMX. I don't think you'll catch me on a road bike, but I think it's awesome that they provide funding and grants and support for a sport that you truly enjoy. Nico, we want to thank you so much for joining us and also for the live the other night. And we're really looking forward. The liner wands will be out at the Challenged Athlete San Diego Triathlon Challenge and many of their events. And we're looking forward to meeting a lot of you in person. So I know that Mr. Johnny Vaca is on his way for a pretty epic bike ride. He is probably one of the quintessential veteran adaptive athletes. He has filled his entire calendar this entire summer with adaptive event after adaptive event for the veteran community. So I'd like to give Johnny an opportunity to kind of share a little bit about the different organizations that he's been involved in and some of the really cool camps and trips that he's been able to go through to be able to talk about a wide breadth of resources that are available to the veteran community.
While I'm getting my bike ready, I'm going to defer to Rhonda, who I've done a lot of stuff with. Rhonda, would you pick it up for me? I really need a little backup here. Tell them all about the stuff we've been doing this summer.
Oh my
How about it, Rhonda?
goodness. Oh my goodness, Johnny put me on the spot. I wasn't expecting to have to speak at all. Well, yes, Johnny
Well,
and
I
have.
saw you on the call, so I figured I would.
We've spent many of 3-day sessions together this summer, thanks to our local adaptive sports foundation in Wyndham. Gosh. Well, I've done other stuff just like Johnny. I've done camping and hiking and all kinds of things all summer long. This is probably my longest break I've actually had now been down for a week. I used no barriers and I went hiking Kelly Lake from 8,000 to 11,600 feet, 4 days with 45 to 50 pounds on my back. I went to the National Ability Center in Utah and they had me signed up to ride 50 miles on my trike, but I only did 25. But I did increasingly better every day that I rode out there, and I rode for 3 days straight. What else have I done? I've kayaked, I've mountain triked, I've road biked, I golf. I'm going to be a PGA Hope ambassador. I play one-arm golf. What the heck else? I'm going to do FOA, which is Face of America here. That's my next big event. I got to ride 128 miles in 2 days. Wish me luck. I think that my best resource is other veterans like Johnny, who I meet up with on a regular and continue to hand off new information to me. I just got a rec therapist to help me fill out all my CAF stuff, so I can now apply to grants through there. I'm still pretty much a newbie. I've only been doing this adaptive sports thing for 3 years. And of course, one of those 3, we were all down and out because of COVID. So I did so much virtual stuff. And that's real. The virtual part of it is what really got me moving this whole entire summer. I don't know what else. Is there any questions, information that I need to continue to speak about? I'm not sure. I wasn't prepared for any of this.
I thought that was fantastic for being put on the spot.
Really awesome. Thank you.
Johnny, I'm gonna get you back.
Yeah, I owe you. You know that. I'm still getting my bike ready here. Standing by.
So I have a question. You have participated in so many adaptive trips and sports. What are some of the organizations that ran those events that you participated in?
Okay.
I know that you and Johnny have participated in Dare to Try, the National Ability Center. What are some of those other programs that you were a part of?
No Barriers is a really good one. They actually started me on this whole adaptive adventure. I feel like I owe them a plethora of gratitude, and I continue to strive to maybe help others go that route too, because they have one thing called reach, and that's when you continually press yourself to be outside of your comfort zone. And I have done that this entire summer. Who else has helped me? Well, PGA Hope is another. a good organization that works with veterans, and I get to go to school here in a couple weeks and go play at the Congressional. You mentioned National Ability Center. Oh, Johnny just signed me up with Achilles. I haven't really gotten involved with them yet, but my daughter lives in Manhattan, and so I'll have to drive down there because I live 2 hours away, but I could crash at my daughter's pad and hopefully get a couple rides in with Achilles. I'm working on that.
Is that the Achilles Freedom Team?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so. It's still really new to me. It's just last week I was with Johnny and he pushed me to go that way. So
Yes, it is the Freedom Team. And I would agree with Rhonda with regards to no barriers, how it was a life changer for me as well.
Well, thank you both of you for sharing about all of those different organizations. I think we've had some technical difficulty trying to get my very dear friend Lee Cookshouse on as a representative from the Adaptive Training Foundation. While we're waiting for Lee to call in, do any of our guests have any questions from any of the representatives about some of the organizations that we talked about? Don't be shy. No questions. There's got to be a question.
I think it's because of our great explanations, Melissa.
I think so. I mean, you guys fully covered everything in such great detail. You really left like no question to be asked. You did a fabulous job. I can't thank you all enough. I could give a basic overview of the Adaptive Training Foundation, and then we could get Lee's perspective as a veteran who has been heavily involved in the Adaptive Training Foundation. So the Adaptive Training Foundation was founded by ex-NFL linebacker David Labora. He went through his own recovery after a shoulder injury, went down to Texas, opened up a gym to train adaptive elite athletes, and one day bumped into a quadruple amputee, Staff Sergeant Travis Mills, and asked him if he wanted to come and hang out and work out at his gym. And Travis was like, you know, that's a little hard. I'm missing all 4 of my limbs. And David said, you know what, just come to the gym and we'll figure things out. He was the very first athlete to go through the Adaptive Training Foundation, which is based out of Dallas, Texas. And the rest is history. They are now, Derek wasn't able to make it today because he's been promoted to a head trainer for one of the athletes in class 22. They've graduated 21 classes of 10 adaptive athletes. They have a pool of over 200 alumni. They incorporated kind of outside the box PT and OT, functional fitness training, group training, and they incorporate a lot of mindset, meditation, and resiliency training. They incorporate nutrition. I was part of class 10, so was able to experience the program firsthand. It was basically a military style boot camp for the body, mind, and soul. I underwent my own transformation down there, and it has now led me to try to bring programs like it to the New England area. They offer a special class every year. It's during the winter, and they partner with several organizations. It's called their Military to the Mountains program. And their winter class contains 15 wounded warriors. And they are in intensive physical training to get them ready for a week on different mountains. They've been to the National Ability Center. They've been to higher ground. They've been to several locations, and it's a week-long trip to use those new skill sets that they acquired and put them into action in their state. I've seen many people go through the program and move on to things as great as the Paralympics. and others who moved on to start their own nonprofits. We partner heavily with High Fives Foundation, which is another great resource for the veteran community. That's an overview of ATF. Any other comments, questions, discussion points that people would like to discuss? If there is a veteran out there right now that is newly injured and is looking to get involved, but just doesn't know how to start, what advice do any of the representatives here have?
The VA, recreation therapist, get your primary care physician to give the veteran a referral to speak to the rec therapist, and hopefully the rec therapist will be plugged into the community enough to be able to start to hook that individual up with programming that's available. The other option, of course, is virtual. You can get online and communicate with organizations like Challenge Athletes Foundation, No Barriers, any of these organizations that do have a veterans component, because they're going to be able to find things. They just have to, knock on doors, because opportunity is definitely knocking on their door. It's just a matter of them finding out about it. So Move United has an awesome program that they actually are a funder, just like the VA is, providing funding to programs that adaptive sports organizations provide. And, specifically that funding is for veterans. And, so
and I think we might, you still there?
To say just to piggyback on that, the VA is a great resource. They also provide adaptive equipment. The two requirements are 1, medical necessity, and 2, demonstration of use. And a lot of vets don't realize that. Like, I'll get calls from vets, hey, I want to get a hand cycle. And I'll say, well, have you talked to the VA? No, I haven't. I asked them, do you have VA benefits? Yes. So they can go through the VA to get their hand cycle. And that's a big force multiplier, because that's an expensive piece of gear. If they get their stuff to the VA, then we can pay for things like travel, training, those types of things. So we work a lot with VAs across the country to help vets either get their adaptive equipment or send them to events. I get a lot of calls every year from VAs to help get their veterans to the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, the Winter Sports Clinic, the Summer Sports Clinic, the TEE Tournament, those types of things. So the VA is a great resource. But something to also remember, not all VAs are the same. There's a saying out there, if you've only been to one VA, you've only been to one VA. Some VAs have more experience getting adaptive equipment for their vets as opposed to others. I have a whole write-up and email that I sent out to the veterans on the procedures. So if anybody has any questions, they're welcome to contact me.
Thank you, Nico.
Yeah, in addition to equipment, the VA also provides me with my activity legs, which private insurance would never provide. So as a person with limb loss who served my country, I'm in the best place possible to be able to, as long as I'm advocating for myself as far as moving and participation, activity legs are never going to be a problem for me through the VA.
Right, and that's something key to remember. If they're, on the civilian side, insurance does not cover running prosthetics, nor does it cover adaptive, like hand cycles, any kind of sports chair. And that's a big reason why CAF started as a 501c3, because we feel that people have a right to go out and recreate and do sports. I mean, we have kids, young kids, who can't get their running feet through insurance. So we say, hey, these kids have a right to play. So we pay for those things. And there are obviously our first responders, police, fire, paramedics. They don't have access to a VA. And some of our veterans who may have served in the reserves, the National Guard, or are not service connected, they don't necessarily have access to the VA. So that's where Operation Rebound will step in and get them that adaptive equipment, whether it's a running foot or a hand cycle, as an example.
So Nico, I have a quick question for you. I,
Mhm.
as a nonprofit leader, get questions all the time from group members about what types of equipment actually can be covered. Like, does it have to be a sled hockey sled or a hand cycle, a sports wheelchair, or are there other things that can get funded? What are some of the
Yes.
pieces of equipment that you've seen get funded?
So the bottom line is it doesn't have to be necessarily adaptive equipment, it just has to be sports related. So I've bought a lot of hockey equipment, period, you know, hockey masks, all sorts of hockey gloves, sticks, air rifles, archery equipment, you know, obviously stand-up bicycles, regular bicycles aren't inherently adaptive. We buy those all the time. So I bought a kite sail. Some of you go out kite sailing, but skydiving equipment, BMX frames, as Bill knows, bikes. So the equipment itself does not have to be adaptive. It's just the people that we support are adaptive athletes.
Amazing. And like the civilian side of challenged athletes, does Operation Rebound provide grants for travel to sports activities? And does it also cover grants for things like gym memberships, coaching, and personal training?
Yes, it does. Operation Rebound covers everything that a regular CAF grant would cover. So we send vets to a lot of different, and first responders to a lot of different events. Bill, for example, going to his BMX events, we've sponsored those. We have vets who go to AmSurf events. We pay for gym memberships across the country. One of the great partnerships that we have here in San Diego is that all of our challenge athletes and two of their family members all get lifetime memberships to all the San Diego County YMCAs. And we also have variations of that partnership in the Dallas, Texas area and in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So that's a great gift from the YMCA.
That's amazing. You guys coming to the Northeast with that?
We'd love to. You know, it really comes down to the YMCA. The YMCA here in San Diego, this is about 7 years ago, I believe. They approached us and they said, hey, we want to offer this to your challenge athletes. And so we partnered with them here. So, you know, we're trying to do that with other VAs, or YMCAs rather, across the country. And some are more responsive than others, you know. They're nonprofits. They're also a business. But oftentimes what we find too is at a minimum, we'll get discounts, you know, wherever we go. A gym, if I get a gym membership for a veteran, there's often a discount at that gym for the membership. So we appreciate that.
Awesome. Now I see Mr. Johnny Vaca on his bike ready to go. You are repping some gear there. It looks like Achilles Freedom Team. So do you mind telling us a little bit about your involvement with Achilles Freedom Team?
Well, for me, it's a little bit of a challenge because my Achilles Freedom Team is down in New York City, and I'm like 80 miles north of here in Poughkeepsie, New York, on the east bank of the Hudson River. So for me, in order for me to participate, I jump on the train with my bike, take it down to Grand Central Terminal, and I ride my bike from Grand Central Terminal up to Central Park, and then I can participate in their weekly trainings that they do on Saturdays and at 9, and Tuesdays they do it like around 3 o'clock in the afternoon for their first one, I believe. And then they have like 2 time slots so that they can accommodate as many people as possible. But recently,
I think he was
He's
so
gone.
excited about.
And he's back.
He's back.
I'm back.
Don't call it a comeback.
They invited me to do the 5, and that would be on my bucket list, you know, to be part of the 5 boroughs ride. And that turned out to be like 50 miles through a city. And we did it as a group. there were hand cyclers as well as myself as a stand-up, and there was never AK, I'm the amputee that was riding a stand-up bike. So yeah, what an awesome experience to be part of, and be part of that Achilles whole movement. We got some good visibility from it. It was great.
Hey, John.
I just did a Challenge Athletes. Foundation swimming clinic this past Saturday. When I went down, it was in the morning, and it was at the Mercedes Club. Go ahead. It sounds like I have a question.
Yeah, I'm Brooke. I'm sorry. Did you say you're an AK? A unilateral above knee? Hello?
Question again, please.
Yeah, did you say you're a unilateral above knee amputee?
No, I'm I'm a unilateral below knee amputee.
Oh, below knee. Okay.
Amputee.
I was going to ask you a question about
but we did
standing up out of the saddle, because my wife's a unilateral AK and she struggles with that. So, but you're a BK, so.
I said that I was with one though. I was definitely with one.
Okay.
So it can be done.
Okay.
It's like anything, you have to adapt to figure it all out. But yeah, it can definitely be done, because this guy was an AK, and he was part of that 5 boroughs ride.
And he's able to get up out of the saddle, you're saying, like stand up?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
oh wow. Okay.
Sure. But it just requires some, safe practice, to figure it out. Seat height, whatever it takes, to make it so that she would feel comfortable being able to do that. Good core strength is important too. Very, very important to any kind of sports.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank you.
for sharing, Johnny. And Justin, I have one more question for you. There are a lot of surf championships coming up. Can you let us know a little bit more about that and how veterans can get involved in any of the surf championships?
And more importantly, how do we grow dreadlocks like yours?
Oh, wow. I mean, gotta have a really good genetic predisposition for hair, which you might want to look it up. I'm like Native American and like full heads of hair, so like I'm good in that regard. But yeah, just grow your hair, and depending on how curly it is, there's multiple different ways. There's one method where you comb it up. There's another method where you roll and tear, and all sorts of valuable resources out there. Do a quick little internet search, and you could certainly find the how-to. I have
Dread for you.
Yeah, I have really super curly hair, so like worse than slash type curly. So relative to competition, so I think one of the best resources, I mean, there's lots of different types. There's, competition is obviously inherently competitive by the word, but structured versus unstructured, sanctioned versus unsanctioned, sponsored versus so I mean, as far as adaptive events go, the ISA and AMP Surf are probably your 2 really good resources. But from advertising or finding the information you need, I would check out the ISA. If you do a Google search on the ISA, you'll be able to find all sorts of events. They actually just had one, and I have a friend who is out in Narragansett, Rhode Island, who just returned back from Oceanside, California, and he actually took 4th place. So I'm pretty stoked for him. And it was, it's an international event. I mean, people show up from everywhere. I don't focus so much on the competitive side. My exposure to it is actually relatively new, because AMP Surf has partnered with the ISA recently for instructor training. More so with like quadriplegic or paraplegic transfers and proper orthopedic processes for engaging with adaptive, clinics. So But relative to the competitive side, Dana, the founder of AmpSurf, is actually a top-rated national adaptive surfer. So if you reach out to any of the board of directors links on the AmpSurf site, specifically Dana, they're going to be more than excited to help guide anybody who has any questions. And that's just kind of a rule of thumb with AmpSurf in general. And I know that this quote symposium, so to speak, is geared more towards the veteran community. Obviously all of us focus on adaptive sports in general, not just the VA, but we do have, significant ties to the veteran community. So anybody who's out there who is looking for details or information, feel free to send. You could send me personally. I can find stuff for you too, and it's on the website. Check out ISA links, and then the ISA website has a fair amount of international links and regional stuff as well. So you could try that.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. And I think we finally got Lee to join us. I'm so excited. Lee, thank you. We're so sorry about the tech difficulties.
Hey, Melissa, real quick, I need to go. I didn't want to and so I got to get to the water because the surf's up. So,
Okay.
But thank you for having me.
Hang 10. Us amputees like to hang 5, but go hang 10 for us.
Hang whatever you got. Take care. All right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Would you mind just introducing yourself, your role in the veteran community, what your experience was like at the Adaptive Training Foundation as a representative for them here, and maybe 1 or 2 other veteran organizations that have truly helped you during your journey?
Hi, sorry. So I'm so glad to be here after trying to get in this morning. I'm Lee Cookshouse. I'm a below the knee amputee. I medically retired from the Air Force in 2013. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here supporting or representing Adaptive Training Foundation. I've gone through their program, both their 9-week Redefine program and their new program, their 10-day hyper camp program. ATF really helped me really solidify and helped my recovery. So they're fantastic. And I'm sorry, what else?
Maybe just a little bit more about ATF and what was so special about methodology and training that helped you through your recovery. What participation there has enabled you to do after somebody's actually training for some triathlons, and maybe a few other organizations that you're involved in.
Yeah, sure. So while ATF is a gym, and if you look up, they really bill themselves as training anybody with a life-altering disability through, the physical training aspect. When you really get into it, their whole philosophy is mind, body, and spirit, and sometimes that comes through, I think, the physical work. And when you really get into it, what happened with me is they kind of physically broke me first, and then you can really get into the real work of the mental aspect of your recovery, and then kind of build everything up. So it bridges the gap of now you're done with PT, but ATF really takes you that one step further and shows you really what you can do with your life. And after finishing ATF, there has never been something that I've wanted to do that I couldn't figure out a way to do. So after going through the programs at ATF, I rock climbed, I've rappelled, I've whitewater rafted, I started doing triathlons this summer. I am very slow. I'm not running the 5Ks yet, but I'm not afraid to fail. So it's okay that my first running plan didn't work because I forgot how tired I was going to be after the swim and the bike. And so I just had to walk the 5K. And in fact, after a mile and a half, I had to sit and rest for 15 minutes. But it was okay. They taught me through that mind, body, spirit process that I learned from my failures. And I really use the word failure because right now I can't think of another word to use, but it's not even really a failure. It's really a learning process, right? So your first plan didn't work. That means we just have to think of another plan for next time. And so it's baby steps. And before going through the program at ATF, I might not have even approached something that was that new, or I might have considered it a true failure and I might not have done it again. So going through that program left me with so many mental tools to ground myself, to take home with me, to keep going, to learn how to approach setbacks when they happen, to get outside after setbacks happen, whether they be mental setbacks, whether they be physical setbacks, how to get going again. After I broke the one good ankle that I have, you have to get out and get going again, where it wasn't just a week where I was having fun. Not that that's bad, that needs to happen too, but they were rules for life after your life-changing event happened.
Awesome, thank you. And I know that you're very involved in the veteran community. You volunteer for several organizations. Do you mind naming a few of those so that we could add them to the list of resources that we have available for the veteran community?
So, so one of the organizations that I really love and support is the Dare to Try organization out of Chicago. They do support both veterans and civilians. So they do have one camp that's military only. They also have other camps during the summer and virtual camps now that are starting online for anybody that are not military only. So that's a good resource for everybody out there if you are interested in trying triathlons, or they have virtual strength training, they have race chair training, they do seated athletes, they do ambulatory athletes. So they're a good resource for lots of different disabilities. I really like a nonprofit called No Barriers that also supports all different types of disabilities that also do veterans and civilians. So they have veterans only camps also.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Lee. We appreciate you coming on. I want to especially thank Nico and the CAF Operation Rebound team. I want to thank Rhonda and Johnny for coming on, and Justin Laporte from AMP Surf. I want to thank the Linerwong community for continuing to show your support and to continue to come to our community events. I feel really honored to be able to lead these community socials and to meet some of the most incredible people I think I've ever encountered through these socials. So if you had fun today, yes, Brooke Rush, like it has been a pleasure getting to know you. And I can't wait to come out to CAF events out in San Diego very, very soon. I think it's going to be a big party. If you're able to get out there, come to San Diego. A lot of the other live events have been canceled. This is one that has not so far. We're still crossing our fingers. And it will be an opportunity to be able to meet, network, and participate in sport and have fun with other adaptive individuals. We are going to have a special challenged athletes community social next month. So please stay tuned for details about that. And we'll be having some amazing adaptive athletes come on to our Take Back Tuesday lives. So stay tuned for that as well. I want to thank everybody for your time. Sorry, we ran a little over and we started a little late, but I think we all had a great time enjoying our lunch break together as a community. Thanks again to the Liner Wand CEO, Elizabeth Stone, our backup support, Ms. Allie Caesar, and Beth Hudson, one of our blog writers. Thanks for joining us. And Brooke Rosh, what's your title now? It's our business development manager.
Who knows?
And for Davey for joining us earlier today. So I think that's a wrap. I hope everybody has a fabulous weekend and I hope to see you all soon.